What is going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are all doing well. Finally starting to warm up a little bit compared to what we had anyway, the negative 10s to negative 15s. It's feeling like a heat wave out there right now. NFL Pro Bowl is on tonight, which is wild. It shows how far out of the loop I am on the Pro Bowl because on Monday I went to see like the score, see what it was, see the outcome of it, and then I realized that it's on tonight. So I have no idea. I don't pay attention to the Pro Bowl. I think most of you guys were the same way when we talked about it last week. But before we get too crazy into things, let's I gotta get the giveaway link going here. So let me pull that up so we can get that. All right, here is that giveaway link. I think this is the right one. I'm going to test it real quick and just validate. 2, 3. That is looking good. Hard to believe it's already the Super Bowl this weekend. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. There's that giveaway link. If you're new here, if it's your first time here, just fill that out one time throughout the show. I'm going to post the link numerous times. So don't fill it out multiple times if you could, please. Makes my life a little bit easier if it's just one time. Otherwise, I got to remove you from the list, and it's a whole thing. So we'll draw a winner for a $40 Packers Pro Shop gift card a little bit later on tonight. I'm excited. We have a lot of fun stuff to cover tonight. But before we do that, we got to see who's checking in. We have, to start things off, we have Ron. Good to see you, my friend. The Tullys coming in. Fellow owners, good to see you as always. We got MJ. Good evening, ladies and gents. MJ says, good evening, everyone. Go Pack Go. Home relaxing on some home time. I love it. Joshua, good to see you, man. Steve is here for the smelling salts. Well, let's not disappoint. If I can figure out how to open it. Feels good. Got it. I'm still kind of recovering from the cold I have, so it really opens up the sinuses. It's feeling good. I feel like I'm ready to get to a show. Drinking some coffee as well, Steve. So still not able to follow that pact. You know, I was thinking about it, Steve, because Steve asked last week if I would give up coffee for a year in order for the Packers to go to a Super Bowl, and if I would give it up for life in order for them to win a Super Bowl. I said no to both stipulations. I was thinking about it, and I was like, what would it take for me to give up coffee? And I realized that the ask would be so large that it would never be possible. I'm talking like maybe for like $500 to $1,000 a day, I would give up coffee. But I don't know. Like, I don't think I'd give it up for $100 a day. Yeah, anyways, it had me thinking about it, Steve, because I'm like, what would it take for me to give up coffee for life? And I don't know that there's an answer for that. Hey, Brad, good to see you. Good to see you, sir. MJ, that's how I'm feeling. Couldn't live without it. Coffee. I'm always about it. Heather, I don't know if I said hi to you, but hello, Heather. Hey, Jay, good to see you. Go Pack Go. Well, tonight, many moons ago, I asked you guys for your season predictions. I had two different ones. I had we'll call it a BP, a before Parsons, and a AP, an after Parsons. So I had two different spreadsheets or two different questionnaires that I sent out. One is from this group, and then the other I posted momentarily on my Facebook page. I didn't let it linger out there too long. I think like only an hour. It didn't get very many responses because I deleted it shortly thereafter. I actually meant to repost the other one in here, and then I completely forgot about it. So I'm excited to talk about this because there's some fun predictions. There are some fun predictions. Braden, good to see you. Appreciate you stopping in. We got Kirby. Good to see you, man, as always. Chris says, MJ. Sorry, I always get thrown off. I start reading really quick and then I realize. MJ says there's gas stations that have fresh ground coffee. Holiday and Quick Trip is so bitter. Freshly ground from Casey's is the best. I know Quick Trip now is starting to get machines that like grind it to order. I'm a coffee snob, MJ, so I get it completely. I generally don't get gas station coffee at all unless I'm in a pinch, but I'm a pretty big coffee snob. Oh, nice. Good to see you, Sam. I logged into a different Facebook account. You're like a secret agent, man. You're a secret agent. Joshua, I see your questions. I'm going to save those for the burning hot later on. Alfonso, good to see you as always, my friend. All right, I'm going to try to figure out the best route to do this. I might share my screen, and we're just going to kind of go through each of them here. Let's see, share. I'm going to share the whole window. So this is the prediction one that we did. Just kind of recap here. I asked you guys who would win Offensive Rookie of the Year, who would win the Packers Defensive Rookie of the Year, who would be the Packers MVP, how many games would the Packers win for the 2025 regular season, how far would the team make it, kind of rankings for the NFC North, what team would be the biggest surprise, which team would be the biggest disappointment, who would win MVP, who would get the number one overall pick for 2026, what two teams would be in the Super Bowl, who would win the Super Bowl between those two, and then I asked your name. I think I asked, if you wanted to stay anonymous. Not everyone answered that one, but that's okay. So, really looking at it, a large majority of you said either Matthew Golden or Savion Williams would be the guys. Let me look at the stats here. I have it on my sheet. So Matthew finished the year 29 catches, 361 yards, 0 touchdowns during the regular season. These are regular season stats. 10 rushes for 49 yards. And then Savion finished 10 catches for 78 yards, and he had 11 rushes for 37 yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Out of those options, I honestly could argue that it could be Anthony Belton. He had 7 starts on the year. Matthew Golden had some clutch plays throughout the year, some big time catches, some big time plays in the playoffs. He obviously had a touchdown. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you think it's a Matthew Golden, or do you think we're looking at Anthony Belton? Or I'm kind of curious your arguments on that one. But either way, I was surprised that no one said anything other than those two options. Now, when we look at the spreadsheet after we acquired Parsons, and this is the one I posted on my Facebook page, 100% of the responses, so 10 responses. Like I said, I didn't keep it up very long, probably not even an hour, but 100% of the responses said Matthew Golden. I wish it was a definitive answer of Matthew Golden, but I could see the argument for it in a lot of ways. I think it's got to be between Matthew Golden and Belton. Belton's obviously going to be he's kind of the underdog, right? Because he's an offensive lineman. He doesn't have the stats, but offensive tackle is such a crucial thing. And to have a rookie come in, be a starter, and yes, he had his growing pains, but I felt like he did pretty solid in his role on that line. You know, it's not a guy that stood out a lot like Aaron Banks maybe did. So I felt like he was a good pick as well. I think if Matthew would have gotten more opportunities, I think it would have been a clear cut. He was the offensive rookie of the year, but the Packers generally don't operate that way with rookies. It's kind of like a build up, but yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm curious your guys' perspective on that, but anyway, defensive rookie of the year. The one in our group here, we had 15 responses. The Packers defensive rookie of the year, 80% said Barron Sorrell, 20% said Colin Oliver. As far as the after Micah, what was interesting is after we picked up Micah, everyone got really high on Micah Robinson. I think they assumed that We're weak at corner. Micah's going to really make that pass rush shine and make the corners shine. Unfortunately, the corners didn't shine, and Micah actually got claimed by the Titans from our practice squad. So I would think this one's a pretty clear case. It looked like Barron Sorrell was the Packers defensive rookie out of that group. But I'm curious if you guys disagree with me there. Who's going to be the Packers MVP? We had a lot of the similar answers, kind of sporadic. Most people said Jordan Love, followed by Josh Jacobs. And then we had one person say Bo Melton. I love it. I love the optimism there. As far as the after Parsons, once again, a lot of people said Jordan Love. I think Jordan was the majority. We had Josh Jacobs as well get a handful. Edgerrin Cooper got a nod. Micah Parsons got a nod. I was surprised, honestly, that it wasn't higher up on Parsons. I think, when you look at it, you could probably make that argument between Micah or Jordan. I think you're always going to say Jordan or the quarterback is going to be the MVP over a pass rusher, but the defense looked a lot different without Micah. So I could see the argument for both. Hey, Kyle, good to see you. Go Pack, go. Swag Goda. Good to see you, man. Joshua, I see your questions coming in. I'm going to save those for burning hot questions, so I got them. Those are good questions. Kind of continuously working our way down. And feel free to, if you guys think, I'm here. I'm curious your perspectives on this. If you think Micah was the MVP, if you think Jordan was the MVP, but this was really fun to review over. Just before I was doing the live show, I was reviewing this over, and I'm like, oh, this is really fun. You forget about it. It's been so long. I actually texted a couple people. I texted Kirby, texted Sam, I texted my cousin Dwight, because few different people made some really good snipes. How many games will the Packers win this regular season? Out of the group here, only one person got it right with 9 wins. Unfortunately, 9 wins. A lot of people were really high in the Packers, thinking we're going to get 12. One individual thought 16, which is great. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. 2 thought 9. 9, sorry, I missed that one. So 2 people thought we're getting 9. And now after Micah, it was pretty 10, 11, 12 wins. So once again, the prediction was 12 wins. So unfortunately, we fell short of that. Still made the postseason, but fell short of that 12 win. How far Dakota says, I think Rich was the NVC, the most valuable coach. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with you. How far will the Packers make it in the postseason? Or how far would they make it this season? Excuse me. Out of this group here, a majority of you thought not only would the Packers go to the Super Bowl, but win the Super Bowl. Bunch of homers. And then you had a good chunk that thought they would just make it to the NFC Championship game at second place, divisional round, third place. And then it looks like a split between either won't make the playoffs or we'll get the wild card. So I love the optimism from you guys. After we got Micah, 50% of people who did this thought the Packers would win the Super Bowl, followed by 30% just making it to the divisional round and 20% making it to the NFC Championship game. I think, obviously we had so many injuries that it's so hard to predict that at the start of the year. So, you do this and you go into it with sunshine and rainbows and you're thinking, okay, people are going to stay healthy. You're not going to lose Tucker. You're not going to lose Micah. You're not going to, have all of these devastating injuries that kind of put us at this point. So I think this is fun to do, but it also makes you realize how much sunshine and rainbows we maybe had when we're doing this. Reading this chart kind of is annoying. It's not the greatest on how they did it, but a majority of you, 13 of you, thought that the Packers were going to take first in the division. A majority thought the Bears were going to take last in the division. A majority thought the Vikings were going to take third in the division. And then a majority thought the Lions. So they thought it'd be Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears. it obviously ended Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions. As far as after Micah, majority thought the Packers were going to take first in the division, with the Lions taking second, followed by the Bears in fourth, followed by, it looks like a tie between the Vikings, whether they're in third or fourth, and then the Bears in fourth place. A good chunk actually thought they would take third in the division, but most people thought the Packers were going to take first or second in the division from this one, which the Packers took second. So pretty interesting breakdown there. Mike says, we had too many key injuries to advance. The league needs to increase roster to play less games, especially in the middle of the week games. Doesn't give the team time to rest and heal wounded players. Yeah, and I think it really hurt the Packers that they had such an early bye week. I think what they have there is like week 4 or 5. So you have this huge season, this very long extended season, and you're just playing without a bye week. And now they're talking about trying to push it to 18 weeks, which is even crazier to me. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes that's just how it goes. The team catches the injury bug, and San Francisco 49ers have dealt with that a lot. The Lions have dealt with it. So this gets a little clunky just because everyone has their own different spellings of things. But a lot of people thought the biggest surprise of the season in a positive way. A lot of people called out the Bears. Shout out to Sam, because Sam said New England Patriots, because of an overhauled roster and a poor AFC East, really sniped that one. I would say the Patriots, to me, are the ones that stood out the most positive way for this season. You could definitely call the Bears a big positive leap, but I would have never expected the Patriots to be where they're at right now. The Jaguars, another one that you could probably make an argument for. They went from, being last year, not, I think, was it last year that their coach got fired? Not a great showing. And then this year they were the 2 seed this year, right? 2 seed? I don't know. I don't remember exactly where they're at, but they had a really good season. And then 2 unfortunate people predicted that the Raiders would be a positive surprise. As far as the after Micah, I don't know why it breaks it down in a different way here, which is kind of annoying, but we had a couple for the Cardinals, a couple for the Jaguars. Another person said the Patriots, which that was a great poll. Bears, of course. Broncos, another good poll there. So some people are definitely in the right direction. Now, the fun part with who would have the most disappointing season, I could see the argument for the Lions, to be honest with you. You go from first in the division, having really strong back-to-back season, to not making the playoffs and finishing the year fourth in the division. So I don't think that's far off by any means. The one that a lot of people say in the Bears, I think that's just Packer fans in general. Caleb Williams, obviously we're incorrect on that. But I felt like the Lions was a pretty good snipe. And then as far as the after Parsons survey here, we have Bears once again. I think that's just Packer fans. Saying the Chiefs is a pretty good snipe, though. I would say that the Chiefs is one of those as well, coming off a Super Bowl win, or a Super Bowl appearance, and then you miss the postseason. Really underperformed there in their season and what could possibly be Kelsey's last year. Vikings being the biggest disappointment, and you think when you lose Sam Darnold, maybe the expectations change, but for them to finish where they did, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily the biggest disappointment, but I think those that called out the Chiefs or the Lions, I think they hit the nail on the head. MVP was interesting. A lot of people thought Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Even between both of them, we had Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, a lot of Burrows as well. Really, it looks like it's either going to be Stafford or Drake May. No one predicted that at all. A lot of people said Jordan Love. Once again, I think that's just the homer in us, right? We're thinking our guy's going to win everything. But not too crazy that the names that we're seeing. I think the crazier part is that we're seeing Drake May potentially be in that conversation. Matt Stafford. if I had to guess, I feel like it's Matt. It's going to be Matt that wins it, but I very well could be mistaken. Yeah, Dylan. I wasn't expecting Seattle to be this good. Yeah, I don't think anyone was. Here's another really good snipe. This is where I texted my cousin Dwight on this one because he's in the after Micah predictions, but some people thought the Browns were going to get the number 1 overall pick. The Titans probably a good pick, good guess just because they're coming off of having the number 1 overall pick. The Jets, another good one. Someone thought New England could potentially have the number 1 overall pick, which I don't know that anyone would have, it's not out of the realm of possibility considering the season they were coming off of. For them to be in the Super Bowl is absolutely mind blowing. Once again, shout out to Sam for calling the season that they're going to have. But a lot of people, thought the Browns or Titans. My cousin Dwight nailed it though. He called the Raiders. He was the only one that said the Raiders were going to get the first overall pick, and here we are. So they are on the clock now as we speak. Colts ended up having a very impressive season. Once again, Browns, Bears, Saints. Saints really had a lot of votes for the number 1 overall pick. All right, let's see. Mike says if Bo Nix doesn't get hurt, he would have been in the running for MVP. Yeah, if he didn't get hurt, I think they'd be playing this weekend too. I don't know that the Patriots hold on like they do. Once again, the Patriots had a lot of luck in their schedule and what they were doing. But credit to them. They won the games they needed to win. I think it's easy to underplay it. But how many times have we seen the Packers not win the games that they're supposed to win? So I'm going to drop the giveaway link once again. We're nearing the end of this, so I'm going to drop the giveaway link. If you haven't entered, feel free to enter. If you've already entered, don't enter again, please. And if you have some burning hot questions, I know Joshua's dropped a few of them now. I'll answer those here once we get done with this. I'm not going to talk about the Pro Bowl. I honestly, this sounds so bad, but I don't really care about the Pro Bowl. I feel like it's lost any personality, any flair, anything it had going for it. I feel like it's just gone now at this point as far as the actual game itself. So I'm not going to talk about the Pro Bowl tonight. I don't care. But feel free to drop some burning hot questions you have. Doesn't have to be football related. Could be anything. I know we've had some fun ones. Steve's asked some fun ones. Joshua asked some fun ones. We've had a lot of fun ones over the years. So it doesn't have to just be football. But what 2 teams will be in the Super Bowl? No surprise to anyone here, but the Packers were the one that got brought up the most. Most people thought the Packers. In fact, I think I wrote it down here. Let's see here. I gotta scroll. So as far as Super Bowl predictions, 8 people predicted the Packers for this group here. 8 people predicted the Packers would be in it, and all 8 thought they'd win it. As far as the one after Micah, we had 5 people say the Packers, and 5 predicted the Packers win. Not a single person said the Seahawks or Patriots, for obviously no surprise to anyone. But now, one thing I did for the after Micah survey that I didn't do for our group here, because I learned from our group here after seeing how many people said the Packers were going to be in the Super Bowl and win it, is I said, if you use the Packers in your original Super Bowl prediction, excluding them, who would be in it? And we saw a lot of Bills as the answer. Bills. I think someone said Bills Ravens. I don't know if they're saying Bills Ravens or if they screwed this up. We only got 6 responses of the 10, so not everyone filled this one out, but most people said Bills. Someone still said the Packers were going to win, which I appreciate their dedication to it. So I don't know. I thought that was a lot of fun as I was looking through it. That's the end of it there, but I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought it was kind of fun to look back over it, this evening as I was kind of getting ready for the show. How'd you guys feel about this? Was this an interesting segment to do? Should I do it next year? Should I expand on it more? I was thinking on it. I was like, we could do We could do like out of all players who got drafted, if the draft were to happen again today, who would be number one overall? I think that'd be a fun thing to do. We could break it down and have even more predictions beyond just the NFC North. But I'm curious if you guys like this, if you thought it was a fun thing, if you'd like me to do it again next year, if I remember. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I also want to make sure that you guys enjoy it as well. Let's see here. I see some questions coming in. Awesome. Sam said, I probably picked the Packers to win the Super Bowl because I'm superstitious and felt like if I didn't pick them, I'd jinx them. So I assumed I probably did. You know, that's fair. I'm kind of the opposite way. I feel like every time I do score predictions, every time I predict the Packers to do certain things, it kind of goes the other way. So, yeah. Hey, Billy, good to see you, man. Hope all's been going well. Billy says, think Miles should be in the MVP for breaking sack record. Yeah, isn't it a shame that the MVP is almost just a quarterback award at this point? You don't really see other guys who should be in the running even get talked about the same way. I mean, Myles Garrett was a freak all year, and I don't know. I think there are a lot of other guys too that should probably be in the conversation and don't get the same love that they should because it feels like a quarterback award at this point, which I get it, right? We get a quarterback generally is going to be the most valuable player of a team. Without that stud quarterback, not too often are you going to see a team do much. Adrian Peterson, I think, is the last non-quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, to win the MVP 2012 season. And he ran for like, a million yards, I think a little over 2,000 yards, had 2 games against the Packers, over 200 yards, just absolutely tore everyone apart. And I would argue that he rightfully so was the MVP. They had Christian Ponder as their quarterback, and they still made the playoffs because Adrian Peterson just put the team on his back. But I do feel like more players should get consideration beyond a quarterback. But Chad says, let's do it again. Mike said, yes, do it again. Unfortunately, missed out. Mike, it's kind of my fault. I didn't do a very good job of promoting it. It was something I thought of like right last second, where next year, if I do it, I'll definitely promote it more and to get more beyond 25 entries. I'll make some videos of it and set up something on my website so people can find it a lot easier. So I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun. I didn't fill it out. I forgot to fill it out. So maybe next year I should do that. But I think during the off season, maybe I should expand on it a little bit more, mull it over, and think about, obviously you don't want to go too crazy, right? You don't want to have it be like 40 questions because then we'll be here all night reviewing things. But I think there's things that we could maybe take away and maybe things that we could add that would make it a lot more fun. But I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it as well. All right. Well, let's get into these burning hot questions. Once again, thank you guys for submitting them. Thank you for partaking in it. Thank you guys for the questions and the comments as we're going through it. It's a lot of fun. Let's get into these burning hot questions. As always, I want to say thanks to my friends over at Legendaries for being proud sponsors of the show. Super Bowl is coming up this weekend, and I don't want to be that guy, but you could have the Super Bowl party that everyone would envy by showing up, rocking out 50 wings at your Super Bowl party. Legendaries does 50 wing packs. You can make your Super Bowl party a great one, or you could show up at someone's Super Bowl party with 50 legendary wings and look like the star. I don't think you're going to go wrong either way. Or if you're not in the area and you're like, hey, I want to know what the hype's about, Yeah, unfortunately can't get wings shipped to you, but you can get their award-winning sauces. Their Scary Larry took first place in the Buffalo Wing competition. Phenomenal sauce. My favorite Buffalo, without a doubt. So go check them out, legendlaries.com. Or if you're in the area, go to their restaurant, check them out. All right. I see some questions coming in. Let's get started on these. Joshua says, what do you think is better, 3-4 defense or 4-3? You know, Joshua, that's a good question. I don't know that I think one is superior to the other. I think one, it just depends the roster you have and what you're going to be more built for. And I think they both can be very successful. So I don't think it's a question of one's better than the other. It just depends the personnel you have and what you can play with it. Joshua's going off of the coffee talk once again. Coffee or Super Bowl tickets? Depends what we're talking about. Like, are you saying coffee for a year or Super Bowl tickets? Coffee for a day or Super Bowl tickets? Depends the duration. If we're saying coffee for a year or Super Bowl tickets, I'm taking coffee every single time. There are very few things that I would give up coffee for a year for. It would have to be either a substantial amount of money for me, or I mean that's probably about it. A substantial amount. I'm a sellout when it comes to that, apparently. Joshua says, do you think the longer it goes into the year, the more Rich is staying as a special teams coach? I I have mentally I have mentally accepted the fact that I think Rich will be back as the special teams coach. Now, if he's not, that's a pleasant surprise, right? However, I'm not going to get my hopes up that he's going anywhere. It feels like he should. And I'm not even blaming the flaws on him necessarily, but I think at a certain point when you continuously see the same errors happen over and over again and the performance of the special teams being in the bottom of the league consistently, I think at a certain point you just need to be like, okay, we need to make some changes. Now, Matt obviously gets a lot of flack, right? There's things that he's failed on, play calling that gets frustrating, but Matt's performance isn't in the bottom of the league. And yes, there's frustrations, but at least he's still getting performance, where Rich, I feel like there's frustrations and we're not getting the performance. So I think you kind of put those two together and it's like, well, what are we doing here? I don't know that the Packers are ever going to be a team that has this lights out special teams. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily a priority, which, if that's the case, fine. But then don't be surprised when you lose on special teams plays, because special teams is such a make or break thing for your team. It honestly, it's at a point where it feels like the Packers would be better off not putting a kick returner back there, because all they do is fair catch it and there's more possibilities of things going wrong than things going right. So it feels like, don't even worry about putting a kick returner back there. Just let the ball bounce where it goes and call it a day at that, because thankfully it didn't seem like we had too many that didn't go our way this year where we muffed them or anything. But in the past, we've seen punts get muffed and then you lose possession of the ball, where I don't remember the last time we had this explosive kick return or a kick return for a touchdown. So I don't know. Mike says, what's your thoughts on a new kicker? I don't think the Packers would be overly aggressive in going after a new kicker. The Packers stuck by Mason Crosby in years where he struggled. I think the Packers will bring in a kicking competition for Brandon. Lucas Havrisik is still on the roster, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's on the practice squad. So they have that kicking competition there. But I don't think that they just blatantly cut Brandon. I think it's going to be a kicking competition at camp and seeing what happens there. Chad says, are you getting Legendaries for the Super Bowl? Great question, Chad. I don't know if I am yet. Last weekend, I don't think I will, strictly for the fact that, one, my wife and I I like traditional wings. She likes boneless wings, so that's part of it. And last weekend my friend comes over the week before the Super Bowl. Every year we kind of do a Madden weekend or a gaming weekend. And I went to Legendaries on Friday, had their DOA wings, incredible. And then I made homemade pizzas on Saturday, which that's our tradition. And I used Scary Larry to make a buffalo chicken pizza. And then on Sunday, I had the leftovers for the pizza. So 3 days in a row, I had some very hot buffalo sauce that my body's like, okay, we could probably use a rest from some hot sauce. So I don't think I'll get Legendaries for the Super Bowl, but never say never. But I'm guessing we'll probably just do a lot of snack foods. That's generally what we do for the Super Bowl because it's just going to be my wife's son and I. Steve says, perfect sandwich. Oh, man. The perfect sandwich. Perfect. It depends what kind of sandwich we're talking here. There are so many varieties of sandwiches. I think if we're talking any sandwich, my favorite sandwich is probably a Primanti Brothers sandwich, which is it is what like a Italian bread with deli meat. Then they do provolone. They'll do a coleslaw and then a huge handful of French fries and kind of all smashed on there. Primanti Brothers is definitely my favorite sandwich. That also could be because we don't have them here and I don't get them that often, so it's kind of a treat. But that is my perfect sandwich, and I wish that they would open one closer to us. Every time we go to Pittsburgh, that's like my first stop. Is we go to Primanti Brothers, usually downtown on the Strip, but some other locations as well. Absolutely love Primanti Brothers. Billy said, "What are we going to do with Walker getting arrested for carrying a gun at the airport?" Good question, Billy. So the Walker thing is a little weird. It was like a nice clickbait type of thing, but I don't think he necessarily did anything wrong. He checked his gun. He had it registered. He had everything, like everything was properly done. The only thing he didn't do was get a New York permit. And apparently in New York, to have a firearm, you have to have a New York permit. And that's why he got arrested. So the airport was well aware of the gun. It was properly, put away. Everything was safe. Everything was checked. Everything was like done right. He just missed that New York permit, which is why he got arrested. I think it'll ultimately probably get dropped when it's all said and done. But it made for a lot of good clicks, and I feel bad for Rashid because he seems like a great guy. And I hope it doesn't hurt him for getting re-signed or getting a contract somewhere. Kirby's coming in with a great question here. Fourth quarter, 2-minute drive to win the Super Bowl. Are you taking Starr, Favre, or Rodgers as your quarterback? Oh, man, that's a tough one. Hard for me to choose Starr. Like, I know Starr was a winner, right? Starr won, but I never watched Starr. So I don't know from a quarterback perspective how much was on his arm, how much was on just the team in general. So that kind of leaves me with Favre or Rodgers, the two that I grew up watching. Two I watched. One was when I was a younger kid, one throughout my adult life a little bit more. I'm going Rodgers. I feel like it would be so hard to discredit Rodgers, especially if you're letting him call the plays. So often we've seen him get those 2-minute drives to win games, to tie games, to do big things. So I think I have to take Rodgers every single day of the week. Heather says, besides football season, what is your favorite season? Great question, Heather. I'm a big fan of summer. I like to be warm. I like it warm outside. I don't really I don't know. It's weird. It's weird because when you're in summer, towards the tail end of summer, you're like, oh, I can't wait for hoodie season and like crock pot season and like soups. But now because we're in the thick of it, I'm ready for summer again. But as far as like other sports, I don't have any other sports that I watch, just football. Dakota says, how do we feel about the Timberwolves potentially trading for the Greek Freak? Once again, it doesn't. I don't know. I don't think I've ever watched a Bucks game. I probably watch more Timberwolves games than Bucks, just because my brother's a Timberwolves fan. Doesn't. I have no feelings about it. I don't know. No feelings about it. Steve said, I had my first Permane brothers in Fort Lauderdale last summer. I had it for dinner and then had another one for breakfast. My man. My man. All right. I'm going to post the giveaway link here. We'll be drawing probably in another 5 minutes or so. So if you guys have not entered, clock's ticking. If you have entered, don't do it again. I don't want to have to clean this up. So Joshua says, are you a breakfast for supper kind of guy? Depends the day. Most of the time, no. I don't mind it, but it's not like something I seek out of my way to have. I feel like if I were by myself and my kiddo wasn't home, my wife wasn't home, I could probably get down on some cereal for supper, depending on the cereal we're having. But I don't know. I'm not a big breakfast guy in general. I generally don't eat breakfast. I have coffee and then I'll have like something at like 11 or noon while I'm working, but I don't eat breakfast. I might eat some like whatever my son doesn't eat for breakfast, like his fruit, but I don't go out of my way. Dakota says, what is your favorite vegetable and why is it onions? Definitely not onions. Onions would be the bottom. You know what vegetable I've been really into a lot lately is broccolini. I absolutely love broccolini. We went to an Italian restaurant in Rochester, Minnesota, and we got broccolini there, and it was phenomenally done. I wish I knew what the restaurant was. I don't remember now. It was an Italian place, kind of closer to downtown by their like kind of down by Mayo Clinic, and we got broccolini, and it was so perfect. It was nice, like buttery and a little bit of citrus there, and just phenomenal. Onions would be in last place though. Kirby, your disgust for other sports is admirable, dude. I just don't have like I spend so much of my energy on Packers football, and I live in Green Bay, which football doesn't stop just because it's the off season. People wear their Packer stuff year round. People fly their Packer flags. People talk Packers football. I go to Lambeau all the time. It's the off season. I'm there a lot. So I don't have that energy to put into other sports. Baseball is boring beyond belief to me. I don't mind basketball. If I had to watch another sport, and maybe one day when I have more time, I might watch hockey more. I used to like watching hockey a lot, and I think hockey is a lot of fun. But I just don't care about basketball. I don't care about baseball. It's just I don't know. Oh man. I'm on culture. What the heck is broccolini? Broccolini is like it's like almost like a combination. It kind of reminds me of like almost like an asparagus and a broccoli. Like the broccolis are smaller, so you can eat like the entire thing. It's like a longer piece of broccoli, but they're thin and smaller. And so like a lot of times when you get the big broccoli, right, you're cutting off the florets or you're doing whatever. This is just like a smaller, like size of an asparagus, but it's just broccoli, and it's so good, dude. You need it. You need to try it sometime. Google it. Um, Billy, now you know Fruity Pebbles for sure. Mike says, "How long have you been a Packers fan, and why Packers?" Great question, Mike. I've talked about this probably before on the show. I know during like some other podcasts I've talked about it. So I became a Packers fan, I think, when I was like 4 years old. So 32 years now at this point, 33 years almost. And why was my mom took my brother and I to a store. My dad's a Vikings fan, brother's a Vikings fan now. But my mom took us to a store and she had two, we're at this clothing department and she had three jerseys. She's like, okay, guys, you guys can get a football jersey. There's a purple one, a blue one, and a green one. purple was Vikings. I was like, boys don't wear purple. That's easy. Like, get that out of here. Uh, young Ben. That's the rationale I had. Then it was blue or green. It was the Cowboys, so the dark blue. It's the 90s. The Cowboys were dominant. Of course, their jerseys were everywhere. My favorite color is actually blue, but for some reason I was like, that green number 4, I like that one. So I got the Favre jersey, and that was like my team from that point. I wore the Favre jersey all the time. And then shortly thereafter, the Packers won their first Super Bowl in, the 96 season. I was 6 or 7 at that point. But I remember watching the Super Bowl with my brother and my parents, and my Favre jersey was all faded out like the old screen printing jerseys, how they would peel away. So it was kind of like half worn away, half still there. I had my cheese head on, and I was just cloud 9 when the Packers won the Super Bowl. My first vivid memory of watching Packers football was Super Bowl 31. And then I remember after the game, my brother cried because he was so mad that the Packers won. He at that time actually chose Cowboys as his team. But at that point in our lives, we lived in Minnesota for a very short window, and my brother decided to be a Vikings fan because his friends around him were Vikings fans. So my brother is a Minnesota sports fan through and through, and I just like the Packers. So Kirby says, you love summer, but no summer day at the ballpark watching a game, eating a dog and beer. You're missing out. Dude, I don't drink beer, so I'm missing out there too. My wife, we're gonna draw the giveaway here soon. Sorry guys. But my wife, one year, when we're early on dating, my wife got me tickets to a Brewers game. And I'm happy when the Brewers do well. There's that Wisconsin pride, but baseball just isn't it for me. I don't know. I just, it is what it is. But so she gets me Brewer tickets for my birthday one year. Super nice of her. Obviously excited to go to a game together, just to have that experience together. What I will say, what I really like about baseball, and I don't know if they still do this, but when we went to the game, they allowed you to carry in your own snacks as long as they're sealed. So, dude, I came in with a big bag of peanuts. We had all these Twizzlers and all these different snacks, because I was just like, oh, we can bring in our own snacks. We don't have to buy stuff here. You can bring in sealed drinks as long as it's not alcoholic. So we had all this stuff. We didn't have to buy anything. We just come in loaded with snacks. And it was about the 5th inning, and both of us were just like, man, we still have 4 more innings of this. We were both so ready to go home, and just so like, oh man, just like, what are we doing here? Once again, good intentions. Stoked when the Brewers do well, but it is just not my sport. I get the appeal to it. My father-in-law loves baseball. Katie's grandma, my wife Katie, her grandma loves baseball, is a diehard Detroit Tigers fan, but it is just not for me. And both Katie and I have never went to another game since then. So I don't know. I don't think I'll. Kirby says we got to get Ben to go to a game. I don't think I'll go to a game. I've been to more Twins games than I've been to Brewers games, but I would maybe go to a Twins game downtown. I think that'd be a lot of fun. All right, let's do this giveaway here. If you have not entered, you have like a minute and a half to enter, because I got to do this ad read. Thank Nicolay Law. If you need me to enter for you, like if you're having issues with it, let me know and I'll get you entered. But let's get ready to do this giveaway. Before we do anything, we of course need to thank the people that make it possible and who keep the lights on. So shout out to my friends over at Nicolay Law. Getting injured can turn your life upside down fast. Nicolay Law helps you get your footing back. They're a Midwest personal injury law firm that knows how insurance companies operate and how to push back. Nicolay Law handles the hard parts so you can focus on healing, and you don't have to pay anything unless you win your case. If you've been injured and you need answers, start with Nicolay Law. Call 1-855-NICOLAY or go to nicolaylaw.com. Huge thank you to Nicolay Law for making these giveaways possible all year long. I would not be able to do it without them. I say that every single week, and that is beyond true. I would not be able to do that without them. So All right, Kirby says, add me. We'll see, Kirby. We'll see. Does it really matter, Kirby? It's not like you're going to win anyway. Does it really matter? All right, I got to look through, make sure that there's no. Dakota's always throwing different football players in here, and it always throws me off. Steven's in the giveaway. I don't think I've seen him chat, but good to see you, Steven. All right. All right, I'm getting you out of Kirby. Oh. He who shall not win, Kirby. All right, anyone else? All right, I don't think so. All right. I'm going to share my screen here. Get these pasted in. Share my screen. All right, got you guys. We got Kirby right there. He who shall not be, or he who shall not win, Kirby. Good luck, everyone. 24 entries. One person's winning a $40 Packers Pro Shop gift card. Good luck. It looks like Steve's wife, Jessica, if she is watching. Jessica, you got yourself a $40 Packers Pro Shop gift card. I still have it in an envelope for dramatic effect because last week we had the other one, so you won't probably be able to see it with it getting blown up. But $40 Packer Pro Shop gift card. I got to get all of the winners' gift cards out to them yet from the last couple of weeks, but I was just kind of waiting for all of these to go through, and then I'm going to ship them out at the same time. So Jessica, if you are there, check in so I can make sure that you get your win. Otherwise, you got 2 minutes. Otherwise, we will re-spin so Kirby can lose the second time. And there she is. Congratulations, Jessica. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you guys all entering, hanging out. I am going to be getting more prizes, so we'll actually have more prizes next week, kind of going back to the usual routine. And next week will actually be our last week of doing this style of show. The week after that, if you wanting to hang out with me every week for 45 minutes to an hour, what the plan is, I'm going to be doing just hanging out with you guys and playing some Madden. So we're going to just be running a season together, playing some Madden, answering your questions, just hanging out for 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to be taking people who are here in the live show pretty consistently, and I'm going to be making them as part of the team in Madden so we can kind of have some interaction that way. But there's not a whole lot to do in the off season sometimes, right? There's certain weeks where you'll have stuff to talk about, but then there's weeks where there's nothing going on. So I feel like that's the route to go. But congratulations, Jessica. Appreciate you guys. And then next week we'll be back to business as usual with the other prizes, not just the Packer Pro Shop. So as always, every week we end the oh, I'll make you the kicker, Dakota. I will say, Dakota, I miss a fair bit of extra points because I'm talking to people. So you might not be the best kicker, but that's the price you pay. But if you guys have hung around for more than an episode or two, you know that I like to end the show with a story. A lot of times they're stories that you guys have heard, but sometimes they're not. This week is one that you guys have probably heard, but it's one that I have to share again. So it's the Super Bowl week, of course, which always makes me think of one of my favorite Super Bowl stories. Back in 1967, the Packers were getting ready to play in the very first Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. The game was a big one. It meant a lot to Vince Lombardi. He had a lot of pressure heading into that game because he was representing the NFL, which at the time was seen as the far superior product to the AFL. So all of the NFL owners were saying, hey, you need to kick the tail off these Chiefs. You need to really beat them and beat them bad. So there was a lot of pressure on Vince. If he were to lose this game, it would be very humiliating for him. Well, on the Packers roster, there were two guys who were known for their late night antics. Paul Hornung and Max McGee, both of them would sneak out often. Both of them would get fined by Lombardi often. And it's actually said that those two paid their fines paid for the team's Christmas party every single year. Well, as the Packers were getting ready to play the Chiefs, the game was held in downtown Los Angeles. So there's a nightlife there. There is a lot of appeal there to people, especially Max McGee and Paul Hornung. So the night before the Super Bowl, Lombardi threatened anyone who snuck out with a massive $5,000 fine if you snuck out or broke curfew. Paul Hornung opted not to go, but Max McGee ignored it, snuck out, saw LA, and didn't get back to the hotel until 6:30 in the morning. He figured it didn't matter much since he wasn't even supposed to play. Then early in the game, Boyd Dowler got injured. Max was forced into action. The story goes he couldn't even find his own helmet, so he had to borrow one. He was hung over and maybe even still drunk, and suddenly playing in the biggest game of his career. And he absolutely did not disappoint. Max finished the game with 7 catches for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, including an unreal one-handed catch from a Bart Starr pass that was thrown behind him. Now remember, this is prior to the players wearing the sticky gloves, but Max made an incredible one-handed catch. The Packers would go on to win the Super Bowl 35-10. And while Bart Starr won the MVP, many would argue that Max McGee also deserved that honor just as much. I think Max probably played to that level because he was scared of what would happen with Lombardi if he didn't. But one of my favorite stories to think about every single year with the Super Bowl. Just another one of those incredible stories in Packers lore. But I'm sure a lot of you guys are very well aware of that story. But how could you not say it? Can we add a scoreboard that actively shows Kirby's odds and winning percentage? I mean, do you want me to? I could probably just put 0 somewhere up here. I'll just have a ticker of 0% right here. But yeah, I'm excited for the Madden thing. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I also, what we might do, if depending on how long it takes me to play a game, this past weekend for Madden weekend, and I'm going to be getting out of here, but I'm just going to share this. But this past weekend for Madden weekend, I did, rather than playing the game, for most of the weekend, or for most of the day that we were playing Madden, I just acted as GM. I started a season with the Packers, and I simmed every single game. I did the drafts. I signed the free agents. I managed the cap, all that stuff. And then I would sim the next year, do it all over again to see if I could win a Super Bowl. And I did not. I still haven't won one. I think I'm like 4 or 5 years in the future. Jordan Love refused to re-sign with us, so I traded him to the Raiders in exchange for Max Crosby. So I had Max Crosby and Micah Parsons. And then I drafted a quarterback that is doing really well, and I still cannot win a Super Bowl. It is incredibly frustrating, but I feel like it's a very accurate representation of how it is in the NFL. One season I went 15-2 and then lost in the NFC Championship game to a 9-7 team. So it very frustrating. You can put together the world's greatest roster and you're still losing when it matters most. And I think that's a very reflective thing of the NFL. A lot of fans make it seem like it's super easy to win a Super Bowl, and it is just not. It's not. So it was a lot of fun, but maybe we'll do something like that too. See where it takes us. But I'm looking forward to it. Hope to see you guys here, same time, same place next Tuesday. We can talk about the Super Bowl. My prediction, as we trail off, I think the Seattle Seahawks will get revenge for their loss to the Patriots, and I think they're going to come out winning this Super Bowl. I don't really have a score prediction. I'm hoping for good food, and I'm hoping for good commercials. That's where I'm at with it. But hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Hope to see you here, same time, same place next week. And until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the interaction. And go Pack, go.